Hello and welcome to the new video. If this is your first time here, my name is Hannah and today I'll be talking about all the books I have read in March and setting up my April TBR. Hi, welcome. I hope you are great. I actually feel fantastic today. It's my day off. The sun is shining. It's really nice and warm. I've done my hair yesterday, back to the dark side, and I'm loving it. Today I wanted to talk about all the books that I have read in March. Also update you on my book blanket, and then at the end we can talk about all the books I have on my priority TBR, the books that I would like to read in April. So let's start with some fun stats from the Storygraph. So according to Storygraph, in the month of March, I have read 20 books, 3,254 pages, and just over 108 hours of audio. The average time to finish a book for me was 6 days. And the main moods I have read in March was tense, dark, mysterious, and emotional. Top genres that I've read in March was, of course, horror, then thriller, romance, fantasy, and young adult. The format I have read in March, 10% of the books were digital, so ebooks, and then I had 45% physical reads and another 45% as audio. My average rating for March was 3.85 star. I had 2 2-star books, 5 3-star books, 7 4-star books, and 6 5-star books. I think it's really good. I felt like March was such a good reading month for me, and I think it shows. I also had 1 DNF, and that was Pig Island by Mo Hader. I didn't like this book. It was not for me. It was one of those books that came in the Abominable Book Club box, and it was the mystery book, and unfortunately I didn't enjoy it. Okay, so now we can have a look at the cover graphics from the Storygraph, and you can see all the books I have read and all the ratings, and in no particular order. I started with Travis by Mia Sheridan, and that was a book that I have read for my self-distracting books video for episode 2. You will find a link to that episode in the description box below. Then I have read Crimson Moth and The Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli, and both of them I have rated 5 stars. I have also read None of This Is True via audio by Lisa Jewell, and I rated that book 3 stars. The next audiobook that I have read was The Reformatory by Tananarive Jew. I think I pronounced it correctly, and I rated that book 5 stars. Slightly lower rating for James Herbert The Rats, and I rated that book 2 stars. Then I read a series of manga, horror manga, PTSD Radio, volumes 1 to 6, and that was across 3 books, and I have rated the first one 4 stars, the second one 4 stars, and then the third one 3 stars. The next book I have read for my self-distracting books was Behind the Shoulder Pads by Joan Collins, and I rated this book 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. The next book that I have read for the same video, self-distracting books, was Bone China by Laura Purcell. I rated this book 3 stars, and that was actually the book that I had on my physical TBR for the longest time ever. Then I read a couple of horror manga graphic novels from the library. That was Betty and Sleeping Beauties. I rated Betty 4 stars. I love the illustrations in that graphic novel. I know I haven't mentioned it, but it was something about, like, I think if I remember correctly, I think it was similar to like the Final Girl kind of situation. So I rated that one 4 stars. And then I've read Sleeping Beauties, and that was based on Stephen King's novel, and I rated that one 3 stars. The next ebook that I have read from the library was Don Roth Zombies, and it was an account of how many months during the zombie apocalypse, and I actually enjoyed it. I rated that one 4 stars. Then we have The Company of Death. I listened to this as an audiobook. This is a book by Elisa Hansen, and I have read that for my horror bingo board. I rated that book 4 stars. It was brilliant. I highly recommend it. It was so funny. The next book that I have read also on my physical TBR, but I read it as audio because it was available in my library as audiobook, was Karen Slaughter, After That Night, and it is a book 11, I anything in Will Trent series, and I actually enjoyed it. I rated it 4 stars. Then I read Grayson's Vow by Mia Sheridan, and it was another book that I have read for my self-distracting books video. I loved that book. I had such a good time reading that book, and I rated that one 5 stars. Then we have The Fisherman by John Langan, I think, and I think I think it's called Cosmic Horror. I'm not sure. I didn't enjoy this one. I didn't understand it. I just found it a little bit boring in places, and I rated it 2 stars. A very unpopular opinion, I think, because generally this book has quite high reviews, but for me, it wasn't a book for me. Then we have The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, and this is also a book of my physical TBR. I listened to this via audio, and I rated that book 3 stars. And the last but not least, my favorite book of the month is The Favorites by Lane Fargo, and I love that book. 5 stars, 5-star read for the cover, 5-star read for the story. Everything was perfect in this book for me. It's also my 1DNF Pig Island by Mo Hader, and these are all the books that I've read and listened to in March. Let's update you on my book blanket, and I think for this I have to do a little swapperoonie because this blanket is getting big. This is off the floor. So if I read the same amount of books in the next 3 months as I have read in the first 3 months of this year, it will be a very long blanket. So I think the ideal thing to do would be to split it into 2 blankets. So I'll have like the first half of 2025 and then the second half of 2025. I'll still use the same colors, but yeah, there will be 2 separate blankets, I think, because it will be way too long. But look how beautiful it is. Oh, I love it. I love this blanket. It is absolutely gorgeous. I have so much fun making this, but yeah, I think I will have to make 2 instead of 1 big one because it will be just too long and I don't think it will look like a blanket anymore. Welcome to the last part of this video where I will be sharing with you and setting up my April TBR. As always, it will be a mix of physical books and audiobooks and some ebooks as well. Some of them I'm rolling over from March because I haven't finished them. So yeah, let's talk about that really quickly. The first book that I'm rolling over from March is Tress of the Emerald Sea. The cover is probably not very visible on this screen, but you know, this is the cover. And this is my library book and it's due on the 17th of April. So I really need to hurry up and finish it. I've read under 100 pages. So I'm still very early in a book. And right now, I don't know if I will finish it, but we will see. I still want to give it a good chance. And then I'm reading a couple of books for my self-distracting books video, episode 3. My gosh, what a mouthful. And these are these 2. One of them is a short story collection and the other one is historical fiction, and you can probably tell by the cover of this green one what I'm reading because it's a very famous cover. I think if you've seen it you would straight away know what book I'm talking about, but I'm not going to show you. You need to wait for the episode 3. Okay, so now the books on my priority TBR. The first book that I would like to read in April is Faithbreaker by Hannah Kaner, and this is book 3 and the last book in the Fallen Gods trilogy. The first one was Godkiller, then we had Sunbringer. Godkiller, I think I rated that book 4 stars, and then Sunbringer, I rated it 3 stars. I enjoyed both of them, but they are not like my top favorite fantasy books. So I'm curious to see how the story ends in this book. And yeah, this is one of my priority reads for April. Then of course we have Suzanne Collins' Sunrise on the Reaping. Here we have another prequel to the Hunger Games trilogy, and this is the first prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes was following President Snow history, and in this one we learn more about Haymitch's story and his part in the Hunger Games. And if you don't know, Haymitch is one of the winners of the Hunger Games, and in the original trilogy he was the one training and coaching Katniss and Peter. So in this book we will find out all about his story and his part in the Hunger Games. Then I have a couple of books that I would like to read. These are not priority, but they ended up on the top shelf on my TBR trolley. We have Deep Cuts by Holly Brickley, and I feel it's a music romance, and if it's anything like Daisy Jones and the Six, I know I will love it. And it's a short book as well, so hopefully I will be able to squeeze this one in April. Then I have another short book that I'm hoping to read in April. Very likely I will, and this is Eric LaRocca, At Dark I Become Loathsome. I have never read from Eric LaRocca before, but this came in my Abominable Book Club box, and I am curious to see. And because it's so short, I think it's going to be a quick read. It's under 200 pages, so yay. And then I have a couple of books that have been on my TBR for quite a long time. I do have audiobooks for these guys, so I will be prioritizing them when it comes to audiobooks. And the first one is Boys in a Valley by Philip Fracassi, and it's a horror story set in an orphanage for boys. So I'm thinking, is it going to be very similar to Reformatory or very similar vibes? We will see. I know this book has really good reviews, so I'm looking forward to listening to this one. And then the last book on my April TBR, again audiobook, which I already have, and I left this book for so long because it was so intimidating and I was not picking it up. But I do have an audiobook for this, and it is Where Sleeping Girls Lie. It's a thriller, I think young adult thriller or young adult horror set in the school as well. So yeah, audiobook. And yeah, I just for some reason just found this book super intimidating and I was not picking it up. So these are the books on my priority TBR for April. I try to do my best. Heavy. I will do my best to try and read them all. We'll see how it goes. I am off for 2 weeks in April. I'm off from work for annual leave, and I know there's not going to be much reading because we're going away for a few days and there's a lot of things happening for me in those 2 weeks. So hopefully I will be able to catch up with some audiobooks. We'll see how it goes. My goals are never set in stone. This is something that I would like to achieve. I would like to read, but I never punish myself and I never get upset if I don't, because at the end of the day, this is books and I love reading books and I'm reading for vibes and for pleasure, and I am not going to punish myself if I haven't achieved my TBR goals. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a good reading month. I hope you read good books. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and let me know in the comments if you have read any of the books that are on my April TBR. And if you haven't already and you would like to watch it, you should be seeing an episode 2 of my self-distracting books playlist. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.